Yes, my name is Mary Meinig, and my husband John and I now live in Greenville, South Carolina.
Great. And what about your experience in Greenville made you want to do this interview with us?
Well, Greenville, if you're a very old timer in Greenville, which we are not, I think they greatly regret how well known and popular Greenville has become because it is one of among the fastest growing small to small mid-sized cities in America. And I think it's right that South Carolina in 2022 was the fourth state in the United States for immigration into the state from other parts of the United States. So South Carolina generally and Greenville in particular have become a discovered, it's no longer a secret. It's well known that the state and the upstate, as they call this part of the state, known as the upstate, have become very popular of late.
Nice. What brought you to Greenville?
Well, people often ask us when they say, "Where are you from?" And I say, "Well, we spent 43 years in Colorado." The next thing they usually say is, "Why in the world did you move here?" And there are good answers to that question. And the main one is that for all of the considerations of lifestyle combined with affordability, it is a very worthwhile place to consider moving to. It depends on why you are leaving an area, but our main driver was to take a look at our financial picture and cash flow and decide how we could get the most out of our senior years, and that involved moving to the Carolinas. We had originally been looking at North Carolina, but we just sort of ran out of time and we had to make a decision. And then we heard about Greenville and came down and took a look, and we said, "This is nice. We like this."
Nice. What are some things about Greenville that you really like?
Um, the mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains, they are not right in the city. You have to get in your car and drive a bit to get to the trailheads, but the hiking is everywhere within an hour. It has a wonderful lake district that borders more or less its Georgia border. Big, huge lakes that are wonderful to visit, and many people choose to live there. Um, it has the most delightful small airport. I think it was just voted the best small airport in America. When visitors come, we say, "Have you seen the Greenville Spartanburg Airport? Would you like to go look at the airport?" It is a park. It's a recreation area, and it is the most delightful place to wait for an airplane. So we're very proud of the airport. The downtown, who can miss the downtown? We are told that in the early 90s, you would not want to go walking downtown by yourself. And now people come from far and near, and locals use. Downtown Greenville has just turned into a French feeling, European feeling Main Street with trees and plants and cafes, a performing arts center that knocks your socks off, tons of restaurants and taverns, shops. It is a showcase downtown.
Nice. On the flip side, are there some things that you don't like as much or wish you could change about Greenville?
Well, they may not be in the changeable category. When you've lived in Colorado for 43 years, the summers here are brutal. They, having said that, I'm very grateful for this year. It seems to have been quite a bit cooler than in past. But the locals will tell you, "Oh, don't worry, honey, it's only July and August that's real hot." Well, that's not true. It is pretty much usually May, June, July, August, and a good bit of September that are hot. So you have to know that when you choose this area. Even the upstate at a higher elevation with access to higher elevations, it still gets very hot in the summer and it's humid. That is one thing we are still trying to get used to. Another thing that I would say with great respect is that if you're not used to it, you will simply be amazed at how many churches there are here. This is very definitely a part of the country that is still very religion based oriented, and social groups are organized around church affiliations. So when you're a newcomer, and particularly if you're a senior newcomer, if you are not a member of a church, you're going to have to work a little harder at meeting people. Now, let me tell you how you do that. There is the most wonderful lifelong learning program called the OLLI program. It's one of many across the country, and it's hosted at Furman University, which is conveniently located for us and for many people. I just heard recently that they now have over 2,100 senior citizens enrolled in lifelong learning classes. And it's all pretty much volunteer driven. So you can do as you choose. You can be a student, you can be a leader, you can help out in any way you want. And that is a very nice way to meet a lot of newcomers.
Nice. Well, this is kind of similar, but you already mentioned the airport. If someone were to come visit you for the day or a couple days, what local things would you take them to do or see?
If they came in from the airport, they will have seen that. I would say make sure that they got a good walk if they're able to. It's about a 2-mile loop up and down Main Street, and you can't miss Falls Park and the Reedy River and the iconic suspension bridge that has just opened up the whole park area. The Swamp Rabbit Trail is the notorious and heavily used, mostly biking path. It's a 22, almost, it's going to be a 28-mile connector. It goes right through the middle of downtown. It connects and ties everything together. The Greenville County Museum of Art is a showcase small museum with a significant collection of Andrew Wyeth paintings, among others. And Furman University is knockout. They do a fabulous job. Now, there's another very well-known university that's an urban university called Bob Jones, but Furman's campus, which is now reopened to the public, invites you to walk their trails and around their lake. And it just makes the out of doors handy and accessible.
Nice. Would you recommend someone else move to Greenville?
I would, and I'll tell you what the motivating factors might be. When you compare it with other retirement destinations, I would tell you that by our view, property taxes are still low, and not low, but very manageable. And from somebody coming from New York or New Jersey or Connecticut, they probably look wonderful. The cost of living has gone up across with everybody else's. Housing prices have gone very high in the last 2 or 3 years. But the property taxes, well, I'm not an expert on this subject, but our property taxes have not risen horrendously. I do think those are attractions. If my husband were here to speak, he'd say, tell her there's a Costco and a Total Wine, which there are wonderful shopping facilities. The joke around here is that there's at least one of everything that you could possibly need. There might not be 2 of them, but there's at least one of everything. So it does make it an attractive place, and you can get in your car and drive out of Greenville, and in about 4.5 hours, you're at the Atlantic Ocean. So you can live in or near the Blue Ridge Mountains and still access the beach.
Nice. If someone were to be moving to Greenville, would you have any advice for them in specific?
One thing I'd tell them is a big surprise. When you I don't know why they do this, especially to seniors, but when you go to register your automobile the first time, in addition to the anticipated title and registration fees, there's a whopping $250 per car import tax. And they say that it's for use and help with the roads, but I have yet to see the improvement. The roads are, could use, I'm not sure where our $250 per imported vehicle is going, but it doesn't appear to be going to the roads. That's something you take with a grain of salt. And the road system around Greenville is a confusion to particularly Yankees who like things in grids and patterns. This is more of a wagon wheel system. It's real easy to get lost in Greenville, even though it's not that big an area, because roads change names, they change directions, and there's very little warning. You just sort of laugh and say, well, that's the way it is. I think overall, it compares very favorably to other retirement destinations that are popular. It competes with North Carolina. It has what Florida doesn't with mountains and hills. It is every now and then too hot for us, a little too perhaps church oriented for our taste, but it is a wonderfully friendly place, and people have that true Southern graciousness, and you see it across. It's really, the city has really worked hard and sincerely on its diversity and inclusivity. And I think people know it and appreciate it and protect it.
Lovely. Well, those were all of my questions. Do you have anything else you want to share before we sign off?
Don't bring more than 2 cars into South Carolina than you need, because you're going to pay $250 per car, and that's just the beginning. That's over and above all the other taxes and fees. There's a difference between inside the city limits and the county, and a newcomer looking to buy should learn about the differences in taxation and services. Last thing I want to say is the water that comes out of the drinking fountain faucet is wonderful. It's lake water from up high, and it's crystal cold in the winter, and it's pleasant in the summer. And a lot of big cities don't have the quality of water that Greenville does. The local water is down at the bottom of the runoff. So if you're looking for crystal clear lakes and ponds, you've got to go north up into North Carolina or up into the South Carolina hills further. We've never seen so many brown ponds, but we learned that that's the clay soil that's underneath everything, and that's the way it is. There are no alligators.
There you go. That's always good.
I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for talking to me. It was great to meet you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciated it.
Yeah.